Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of Corn. And today we are going to talk specifically about the Maya maize god. Corn in quite a few different cultures and religions is very sacred. And this is contributed to its importance in many different cultures' cuisines. But it's also because the people who grew the corn in these different places really respected and found sacred the corn itself, and therefore there were gods that represented these different things from nature, and in this case, corn. So I'm going to read a little bit from a website that explains this, I think, really well, and it's called Teaching History 101. But before that, this is the region where the Maya people are from. It's what you're looking at is kind of the bottom of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. And in Mexico, the lands that we know of that are part of this region are Yucatan, Quintana Roo, Campeche, Tabasco, and Chiapas. And the Maya people have been around for over 4,000 years and continue to live today. The word Maya comes from the ancient Yucatan city of Mayapan, which is the last capital of a Mayan kingdom. But there were many Mayan kingdoms. So the Maya believed in an array of gods who represented aspects of nature, society, and profession. So things from nature that were useful and fruitful and for living, as well as things that were important for society and for civilizations to thrive. So that's what they mean by professions. They also had gods that represented different roles that people would play in society. The maize god Hunhanapu was one of the first important owing to his connection with his vital staple crop. He is shown here as a youthful, handsome man. His headdress is a stylized ear of corn, and his hair is like the silk of corn. In a sacred Maya book called the Popol Vuh, describes how the gods formed the first humans from a dough made out of yellow and white maize after their attempts to use clay and wood had failed. So that dough is what we know of today as tortilla dough and tamale dough. The maize god was believed to be decapitated, so his head was cut off. Once harvesting began, was reborn at the start of the new growing season. So his head was buried in the ground and then it grew as corn. And this is similar to how corn is actually grown. You take the head of the corn and you take off all of the kernels and you bury the kernels in the ground and new corn grows. The god was therefore not just associated with maize itself, but also with the cycle of rebirth, the cycle of seasons, and the associated growth of crops. His life cycle could also provide the Maya with a way of understanding the human life cycle. The maize crop was the staple crop in Mesoamerica. It is a versatile grain which can be grown in the wet lowlands as well as the drier mountain areas. It flourishes when repeatedly harvested and cut down and provides a rich nutritional carbohydrate foodstuff. So it's something that you could eat. It could really help sustain you for a human for a while if you were only eating corn. Unlike modern corn, ancient maize could not simply be boiled and eaten. It required much work to make it edible. The maize needed to be boiled with white lime to release the amino acids and vitamin B, and then ground into a paste to produce an unleavened dough. So that's what we saw in the video that we watched, if you were there on Friday, when we watched a place where they made tortillas in the Yucatan Peninsula. I don't know if you remember where they show Samin, the chef. She showed a picture of a mineral called lime, and the corn is soaked in that lime, and that lime brings out a lot of the nutrients, and also helps kind of break it down so it's easier to grind into paste. And the paste they're referring to is, again, what we think of as tortilla dough and tamale dough. Maize was often grown together with squash and beans, a combination known as the Three Sisters. And this is something we're going to talk about a little later. But the Three Sisters is a Native American tale about how corn, beans, and squash are grown together. And the squash plants grow at ground level and keep down weeds. The maize plant grows straight up through the squash, and the beans grow around and up the maize. All three plants work together to produce a nutritious combination of protein, carbohydrates, and vitamins. So, even on real farms today, they will some farms will often grow those three things together because they help each other grow and protect each other. So what I want you to do now is I'm going to post this slideshow, and I want you to pick one of these pictures of the maize corn god, the Maya maize corn god, and I just want you to make a sketch with a pencil and paper. You don't need to use color. I just want you to really focus on the details. A lot of these pictures have quite a lot of detail. You can see the different parts of the figures that are made of corn in the detail, and I just want you to capture that. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this part 2 of our corn presentation, and I look forward to seeing your maize corn god sketches.